Hello fellow bugs, welcome to Purple Titk and a series about lessons learned in the journey of my project car Miata, specifically what to and not to do. This series starts with me having no knowledge of cars or working on them, to eventually building race engines, custom wiring harnesses, doing engine swaps, and even doing a rebuild title process on this car and others. For more details on what I have done and learned since, smash that bell, subscribe, eat some grass, like, and comment. Let me know what you would like to see more of. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy. And here's the same underglow. I haven't touched it. You can see it through the mouth. Looks good. And the engine after I put the second low bright seat back in, and I got this like mirror that makes it longer. And I would not recommend that one. It's not that good. Still had the same white NRG wheel. And here it is covered up outside. Yeah, looks like it's taking a shower. I just think that the Miata is just too bubbly, really. And it's not really a complaint, it's just it doesn't really fit the type of scene that I was going for specifically, and you guys will see kind of where I went eventually down the line. But yeah, here's a video from this side. Looks really clean, and you can see the panel gaps. It all looks fairly well. Back here the trunk's open, that's why it looks like that. Yeah, so here's my first endeavor in trying to fix the seals for the taillights, because these don't really fit that well, and they have issues in the fitment and stuff. So I made some out of cardboard. I took them out and I drilled the holes, and then I made some out of acrylic to really go in there, and I covered them in foam to seal it, but this just did not work. I would just not recommend it. I also tried to recharge the AC once it was all put together, and I tried, but it just didn't work. Like, I think there's a leak, and I still probably have a leak because I haven't even tried since this last time. So here's Tuner Studio. So my friend had helped me set up a basic tune just to get the car going, and it worked. But here I'm actually trying to learn. I watched so many videos. I taught myself a lot of the tuning, and I was able to get the hang of most of it to get the car running. Here's another picture at night. Kind of see what the rear looks like, and the front with the halos. And then I was really wanting to, I was so scared about what happened to my engine. I wanted to just have a backup engine just in case. So I had taken this engine, which is one of the ones that were laying on the floor earlier, and I took it all apart. Not to the same extent. I didn't separate the head from the block, but I had taken it and I had painted the valve cover was cracked in it. So I had my friend had given me an extra valve cover, oil pan. So I went ahead and I painted the oil pan. I restored it. I just put it on there. So I swapped the oil pan, and then I did buy a skunk manifold. So I got this one from another friend locally, and I was able to get this one for I think $250, brand new, untouched. It's still in the box, and I got it, and that's what I'm rocking in my car now. And yeah, this is that engine kind of put together. I painted the valve cover as well. I did the letters. I did it all. I put the supercharger mount on it, and yeah, here's what it looks like. And another reason for this one was I wanted to use this engine kind of to mock up some of the stuff, like the supercharger and all the mods, before I put them in my engine, and just keep this as a backup just in case. And this is also a VVT one, so I wouldn't have to deal with this whole process of having to be without the Miata for a while, even though it's a project car. So with that supercharger I bought, now I finally started taking it apart and building it. So I had a problem here with the linkage mechanism for the throttle body inside it in here, and I had to fully take it apart, and I had to DIY some parts of it because it really wasn't working that well. You can see kind of the rotors still have their coating all good. And here, this was the problem. This part was broken, and someone had DIY'd it, and it was very wobbly, and it didn't really work. And what that does is it lets the air escape the supercharger. Here's the interior. I did install this mirror, which actually is a screen, so it's a backup camera as well as a reverse camera. And then I installed this light up here. I just changed the light bulbs all around the interior and outside of the car to LEDs. Here I had put these pizza pans on. I really liked the aesthetic originally, but I didn't like the stud sticking out of it. I try to think of so many ways to not have those show, but at the end of the day, I ended up taking them off because I wasn't a big fan of how they looked. And here's another picture of it at the gas station. Yeah, you can see kind of what I was referring to about the backup camera. And here's a sound clip of the exhaust, kind of what it sounded like. Go! And this one here is actually that same Manzo exhaust, but this time with I got rid of the catalytic converter. So I mean I installed the cat again this time. And here's another video of it running. And then here's another view of the hardtop on at night. And here's one during the day. You can see I was really enjoying it and driving it around, having fun with it. And then this is one of my favorite moments in the history of my Miata, really. I found a post and offer up, and an hour and a half away, someone was selling this trunk and this hood. These are carbon Miata ones, and they were a steal. Like, I think I paid like 700 or something for both, or 600. I paid 300 each. So I paid 300 for the trunk, which is the carbon Miata duckbill one, and then 300 for this hood. And normally this hood is very expensive. This is a carbon Miata vented hood, and it came out really good. But I had to start sanding it because it had some minor cracks and stuff. And then I didn't know this, but it was hitting the top of my engine. So since the VVT sticks out, it was hitting it. So I figured out a way to fix it on everything. And here it is. I went to a Miata meet, and a meet, and I'll show it later. But here's kind of the hood, and I really loved how the car looked at this stage with that. It looked really nice. It had a nice aggressive fitment and everything. Here I was doing some of the wiring for a horn. Since I didn't have a horn, I went ahead and bought this Harbor Freight one. It was very loud, but it's very squeaky. It's still in the car, but it doesn't really work. It just blew the fuse, so I haven't really bothered in trying to reconnect it. I haven't really had the need for a horn. Here's another one of the Miata itself. You can kind of see how good it looks. Looks like a cherry. And then here's the other one with my laptop that I use for tuning through the cars. So for Halloween that year, this was Halloween 2021, I had put a tarp over the Miata. And it was good. People enjoyed it. And here I was trying to get the AC again, and I got it to work, but it stopped working a couple weeks after. So there's a slow leak or something happening. And this is what I was referring to here, where you can kind of see that it's very, very tight, and it hits, and it actually broke part of the hood here because it's fiberglass. And you can see it had some rough finish. So like, I guess the gel coat or whoever prepped this originally didn't do a good job. So yeah, so I took that, and you can see how it was cracked here. And then I went to my first Miata meet, really. I went in with my car like this to a Miata meet, and you can see some of the other Miatas there. And there's a video of what that Miata meet looked like. Yeah, it was a really fun time, good experience meeting all. And here's a picture that came out of that. One of the guys took this picture of my Miata. And then the supercharger, I went ahead and continued with the taking apart of the actual supercharger itself and the rotor assembly. And the rotor assembly looked good. Normally you would have to get these rebuilt, and they're very hard to align. But you can buy this pack separately for I think 700 or 800 or so, but it's really not worth it. It looked fine. Everything was fine. But I had to cut or remove all the old seals and clean it all off because it uses anaerobic sealant in here and RTV on the outside. So I had to, and here's kind of what I was referring to of the anaerobic seal. I had to put some new one on as I reassembled it. And it has the oil inside of it. I had to add the oil. And here's what the linkage assembly looked after I fixed it. I got a brand new valve of these because the old one was broken. Yeah, and this came out really good. It worked very good. It's got red Loctite and everything. And for this is a picture of the two Miatas together. Mine looks good, but still don't really, compared to what it looks like now, I'm not really that big of a fan of kind of the approach I was going for. I do love the color, but I feel like the panels, like the bumper and the bumpers really didn't match the build as well as the spoiler as well as I would want. And then this is what the supercharger sounded like. When I first built it. And here's another Miata meet that I went to, and this one was really fun. I had my car looks a little bit more put together, a lot of good pictures. It was fun to drive it. Here's another view of the supercharger after I painted the intake pipe for it and had it all assembled, and I installed it on that mock-up engine, and I mocked up the pipe, and I realized that if I put the skunk manifold, the pipe for it really wouldn't fit, so I would have to cut it and extend it. I didn't really want to do that, so I have some other pipe I can weld and figure it out. So now I painted the hardtop, and this is kind of the turning point of when my car really started to look the way I really wanted it to. So I took that red hardtop, I sanded it down, I primered it, and then I went ahead and painted it, and it came out really good. I really enjoy the way it turned out. Here's what it looked like on the car after it dried, and I think it'd make the car look way more put together, more rounded. It made it look really good. So now, since for the spoiler, this is kind of where this next part is another one of my favorite mods in this car, and I made these myself. I went ahead and I took this piece of aluminum. It was actually rectangle tubing, and I literally cut it here and I cut it here from the rectangle, and I had these two pieces, right? And I took them and I designed these like on paper. I just doodled the layout of how I would want it to look, bolted onto the spoiler, and I drew it out on one side, and then I just cut it out with the grinder, not even a bandsaw or anything. I just took a grinder and I just cut it out. I put it on my vise, and I just cut it, and then I drilled the holes and I tapped them out, and they came out really good. You can see the pieces how they came out. I made sure the holes matched perfectly. I chamfered them a bit with a bigger drill bit, and when I installed them, this is what they look like. And I had actually made these holes so they work perfectly with the mounts that I had on the car previously, and you'll see what I mean shortly. See, and then for the bottom here, I went to Home Depot and I got a piece of aluminum L bracket that was maybe like 3 feet or 2 feet, I don't know, and I just cut it into like 6-inch segments, I think, and drilled a couple holes and mounted it, and that's what the bottom part was. And with the top one, you can see how it went in the holes perfectly, and it did a really good job of going in there and holding the carbon fiber wing up perfectly and give me multiple spots of adjustment. And yeah, I know it's not going to perform with aerodynamics, but I really enjoy how it looks and having the ability to adjust the aggressiveness of how it looks. And this is where the holes kind of fit in right here. I had to make these slightly wider for it to fit properly. And then I went in the new trunk, and I knew I was going to have to repaint it again. Or no, I had a different idea. So what I did was, these are the old holes for where the old spoiler was. And I really didn't want to use those since I have this new mount here now, and I made sure it has 6 bolts each one. So I went ahead and did this. This time I did it really legit. I took a marker, rulers, I marked everything out, a yardstick, and I made sure it all fit perfectly and it was all even. Because before it wasn't even, and it used to bother me because it used to be off-centered. And I painted the inside of the trunk black after I drilled the holes. And oh, here's a picture of the interior when I put the new gauges. I got one of those 2 gauge cluster things for the side, and you can see how it looks like at night. Here's kind of me working on the inside, getting the gauges, and I actually did get one for boost and temperature, which to this day I still don't have connected to anything. The whole plan of that was for the supercharger, but I haven't installed it. See what it looks like, and yeah, overall it came out really good, and I really enjoyed having all the gauges in there, and I find it very useful for monitoring what's going on in the vehicle.
And this should do it for this episode. Stay tuned for next week's episode. Purple Titk out.